Many organizations are going to want to configure Windows Server 2003 to work as a web server. And specifically, they want to install Internet Information Services. So in this exercise, we're going to walk through the steps that are required to enable the application server role. Let's click on the Start button, go to Programs, Administrative Tools, and then we're going to launch the Configure Your Server wizard. I'll click Next to begin, and click Next again to view a list of the available roles. In this case, I'll go ahead and choose the application server role. Notice that it's not currently configured on this system. I'll click Next to continue. And I have a couple of options here. I can choose to enable front page server extensions and or enable ASP.NET for IIS. In this case, we're going to go ahead and choose to enable ASP.NET and then click the Next button. The Configure Your Server wizard will present a list of a summary of the choices that I've chosen. Notice that some of these weren't options. For example, when I chose to enable ASP.NET, also COM+ will also be enabled, and the Microsoft DTC, or Distributed Transaction Coordinator, will also be installed as well. I'll click Next to continue, and this will begin the process of installing and configuring IIS. Okay, we've skipped ahead a little bit, and now the configuration of IIS as an application server is complete. So the Configure Your Server wizard has finished all the steps that we've asked it to do, so we'll click the Finish button to complete the process. Now, as with other Configure Your Server roles, this launches the Manage Your Server wizard. So you'll notice that under the Application Server section, you can choose to manage this application server. Basically, that's going to open up the Internet Services Manager tool. For the sake of this exercise, we'll just go ahead and close the Manage Your Server wizard. And we'll get to the Administrative tool by clicking on Start, Programs, Administrative Tools, and Internet Information Services Manager. Now before we continue, what we're going to do for this exercise is to create a new web page and a new website on the server. So I'll do this by clicking on Start, Run, and I'm going to navigate to the INET-pub directory on my web server. Within that folder, I'll go into www.root. I'm going to create a new folder called Web Test. Now within the Web Test folder, I'm going to create a simple HTML page. So I'll start by creating a new text document, and I'll open it up in Notepad. I've already copied the necessary HTML code into my buffer, so I'll just go ahead and paste it in. And I'll save the file. Finally, I'll just rename this file as testpage.htm, specifying that it's an HTML file. Now that we've created this new test page, it's time to actually configure it using the Internet Information Services Manager. So to do this, I'll go ahead and close this window and expand the Websites section in the Internet Information Services Manager. In this exercise, I want to create a new website. So I'll do that by right-clicking on the Websites folder, selecting New, and then selecting New Website. This is going to start the website creation wizard. So to begin, I'll click Next. The first thing I need to provide is a description of the website, and this is basically just for administrative purposes. It's not necessarily anything that your users are going to see. So I'll just call it Test Website, and click the Next button to continue. Next, IIS is going to want to know which IP address and port settings I want to use. So I'll go ahead and choose all unassigned IP addresses, although I could specify if this machine had multiple network adapters, to which adapters the web server would respond. Since port 80 is already in use by default, I'm going to go ahead and choose port 8111. And now this number is arbitrary, but I'll go ahead and choose that for the sake of this exercise. Then I'll click Next to continue. The next step is to specify the path to the home directory, and this is going to be the path that we created earlier in this exercise. So I'll go ahead and click the Browse button, and I'll navigate to my eVolume, INET-pub, www.root, and the web test folder that we created. I'll click OK. In this case, I want to allow anonymous access to this website. I don't want to require users to have authentication. Although for more security, I could choose to uncheck this box. I'll click Next to continue. Next, I can choose which permissions people are going to have on the contents of this web directory. So by default, the options are to read and to run scripts. For example, active server pages can actually be executed. There are other options, for example, execute if you're using other types of applications that plug into IIS. You can also allow users to write files, which allows them to actually upload files, or to browse directories so they can view files that aren't specifically specified by you. In this case, we're going to choose the default permissions, and we'll click Next to continue. And that's basically the conclusion of the steps that are required to create a new website within IIS. So I'll click Finish. Within a few seconds, we'll see that the test website shows up, along with our test page as one of the content pages for that site. Now that we've set up our new website, it's time to go ahead and test it. So this can easily be done within the IIS Manager by right-clicking on the testpage.html file and just choosing Browse. Basically what this will do is it'll open up my default web browser, in this case Internet Explorer 6, and it will automatically navigate to the appropriate URL. I could have also done this by just launching the browser and typing in this URL. You'll notice that the server name is localhost, which is the alias for this machine, of course, and then the port number of 8111. And then specifically we've specified that we want to view testpage.htm. You'll notice that the contents of our simple test page are displayed within Internet Explorer. This proves that the website is working and that it's responding and delivering the proper page. As you can see, the process of creating a new website within IIS is actually fairly simple and can be done in just a few minutes. This is a great way for you to be able to communicate information to employees within your organization and also to customers and other people outside your organization. Using the Configure Your Server wizard and the IIS Manager tool, you can quickly and easily administer your website.